They play each and every year in one of the great spectacles in sports, the Rose Bowl, the Pac-12 against the Big Ten, and of course play every year unless the college football playoff gets in the way. This time they play 120 times. This past postseason, the Big Ten and the Pac-12 got together 3 times on the field, with the Pac-12 winning 2 of 3, all 3 games extremely close. Not necessarily the Holiday Bowl. The one Big Ten win, Minnesota took care of Luke Falk and company despite being a double-digit underdog. Indiana missed a field goal with about 3.5 left against Utah. Might have pulled off the upset. Not necessarily a fair seeded game, with Utah defeating Indiana. And of course, yes, the Rose Bowl was a classic. Penn State blowing a late lead in the fourth quarter against the USC on the last-second field goal. All right, Big Ten, Pac-12, let's match it up for 120 games. Penn State, Washington, this is a 5-5 series. Penn State showed me enough down the stretch in defeating the likes of Minnesota, Iowa, Ohio State, Wisconsin, and the great game against USC, one of the top 5 teams in the country. Washington, exceptional team. They're a top 5-6 team in the country. This is a great matchup. It goes 5-5. Ohio State, Colorado, credit the Buffs for a great season. They overachieved. I think they showed us a little bit closer to what they really are down the stretch against Washington and Oklahoma State. They weren't competitive in either game. Ohio State, completely a mismatch against Colorado. I thought about 9-1 Buckeyes, but we'll go 8-2 in this one. Michigan, USC. Would love to see these teams match up on the field. Of course, this is maybe the traditional Rose Bowl matchup. And I like it 5-5. I know that the Trojans will get a lot of love based on the hot stretch down the stretch and winning the Rose Bowl, while Michigan faltered against Ohio State and Florida State. But consider Ohio State and Florida State, and they lost in double overtime, and they lost by 1 point. This is a 5-5 series as well. Wisconsin, Washington State. I almost made it 7-3 Badgers. Washington State, though, I tended to weigh a little heavily on the bowl performance and the inability to score against Minnesota. Wisconsin, a better defense than Minnesota, just a better team. They defeat Washington State 6-4. Luke Falk and company would get it cranked up on many occasions against the Badgers. Nebraska and Stanford. This would be an interesting one. This would be a tough series, and Stanford, just a more sound football team, would take care of the football a little bit better than Tommy Armstrong. And keep in mind, these are the 2016 teams at full strength, full health, going at it. Cardinal win at 6-4. Minnesota and Utah. So Utah, remember, they played Indiana in the Foster Farms Bowl, and that was basically an even matchup. Couldn't separate the quality of the teams. Utah won it by 2. Minnesota, I thought about a 6-4 Gophers win, but Minnesota challenged offensively, as are the Utes. This one comes out at 5-5. Oregon State, probably too high of a seed, but they overachieved. They went 5-7. That's where they rank in the Pac-12 based on the actual standings within the Pac-12, even though I think these other teams are more talented below them, even going down to UCLA. Northwestern wins the series over Oregon State 6-4. Indiana, Cal, the Hoosiers, just, if you look at the way Indiana plays quality teams, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Utah in the bowl game, they're a good team, even at 6-7. They close to dominate Cal at 7-3. Illinois, not nearly as equipped to keep up with Oregon. We know that the Ducks had issues and they only won 4 games, but Oregon much more talented than Illinois at this point. They win the series 6-4. Michigan State, Arizona State, that would be an interesting series. Of course, Sparty had a free fall from its Big Ten championship season of 2015 and going 3-9, but we like them against Arizona State at 6-4. This shows the bottom of the Big Ten to be horrible. Purdue, I don't know that they would win 2 games against UCLA. Maybe that's a 9-1 series as well. UCLA, along with Ole Miss, if you've checked out the SEC videos, just way too good to be down at the bottom of the league. But that's what happened to the Bruins, minus some key components, including Josh Rosen. UCLA dominates the Boilers 8-2. Ditto Arizona, not nearly as good as UCLA, but still Arizona so much better than Rutgers because the Scarlet Knights are pathetic. So even a 3-9 Arizona Club. Too good for Rutgers at 8-2. You know how this all shakes out if you've been doing the math as we've gone along? It's 60-60. Big Ten, if I have to break a tie, then, somebody plays somebody again, or you get the two teams that we had to take out, Iowa and Maryland, we had to take out of the standings, the 5 and 10 seeds to balance it out, 12 versus 12. But the Big Ten, we think a little bit better than the Pac-12, but if we match up the seedings and match up the games the way I think they would go, we got 60 and 60. Need to hear from you now on Mark Rogers TV.